Welcome back to the Employee Factory, your go-to channel for AI and LLM technical education. You know, people often say you don't really need to know any math to program a computer, and sure, on the surface, that might seem true enough, but when you look closely at things like computer graphics, cryptography, or deep neural networks, it looks a whole lot like magic. Well, as the famous saying goes, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. But here's the secret. Magic isn't real. Math is the real spellbook that explains it all. Understanding these underlying concepts doesn't just make you a better coder, it literally unlocks the secrets of the digital universe. Okay, let's dive into this. In this explainer, we're going to unpack what we call the programmer's mathematical stack. We're going to build our understanding from the absolute base layer of processor logic all the way up to the complex, continuous mathematics that power modern artificial intelligence.
Section 1, the logic layer, base 2, and Boolean logic.
Before a computer can render a 3D video game or predict the stock market, we have to ask a really basic question. How do computers actually count? It's fascinating to contrast how humans think with how machines think. We humans have primarily used a base 10 numeral system throughout history. Why? Well, because we have 10 fingers. Each place value is just a power of 10. But computers, they don't have fingers. They use a base 2 or binary system. They only have two symbols to work with, 0 and 1. So each place value is multiplied by 2, giving us 2, 4, 8, 16, and so on. But here's the catch. Translating back and forth between base 2 and base 10 can get a bit messy. To represent our numbers, computers use floating point numbers. Since there's a limited amount of memory, some base 10 numbers simply can't be represented perfectly in binary. That is exactly why if you run 0.1 plus 0.2 in many programming languages, you won't get a clean 0.3. You'll get 0.30004. It's a tiny rounding error born directly from this translation between bases.
Now, beyond just counting, computers have to make decisions. And this brings us to Boolean algebra. A Boolean is simply a binary variable that only has two possible values, true or false. We manipulate these using three main operators, and, or, and not. We can actually map all of this out using what's called a truth table. The absolutely crucial point here is that this exact logic powers the if-else statements you write in your code every single day. If condition A is true and condition B is true, then execute this function. It's simple, bulletproof logic.
Let's see how this builds into grouping data using set theory. A set is really just an unordered collection of unique values, and this perfectly translates to relational databases. Every table in a database is essentially a set of unique rows. Think about it. When you write a SQL query for an inner join, you're actually doing an intersection in set theory. You're finding only the matching records. A full outer join? That's a union, grabbing absolutely everything. And in languages like Python, you can even use symmetric differences to find all the elements that are not common between two sets, instantly combining them into a brand new set without altering the originals.
Section 2, algorithms and complexity, measuring code efficiency.
As our data structures get larger, we obviously need to process them efficiently. In computer science, we express this complexity using big O notation. It basically tells us how many steps an algorithm takes based on the size of the input. Reading a single element from an array, that's O of 1, or constant time. It's instant, no matter how huge the array is. Looping over every item in that array, that gives us O of n, linear time. But if you write a loop, and inside that loop you iterate over the exact same array again, you've just created an O of n squared, or quadratic time algorithm. For large data sets, doing that will completely crash your application's performance, no question. But we can do a lot better than linear time by using logarithmic functions. Imagine you have a physical 16-foot wooden log. You cut it in half, giving you 8 feet. You cut that in half, getting 4, and then again to get 2. You are rapidly narrowing down the size. This is exactly how a binary search algorithm works. By cutting the search area in half after each and every iteration, we achieve O log n time. It's incredibly fast, and it is the mathematical inverse of exponentiation. Another amazingly efficient way to navigate data is through graph theory. A graph is made up of nodes, or vertices, and the edges that connect them. Think of a social network. You are a node, and your friendship with someone else is an undirected edge going both ways. But an edge can also be directed, going only one way. More importantly, these edges can have varying weights or costs.
So when you pull up Google Maps to navigate through heavy traffic, the software is actually traversing a massive weighted graph using pathfinding algorithms, like Dijkstra's algorithms, to find the absolute shortest, most efficient route to your destination.
Section 3. Math for AI in Data, Powering Machine Learning.
We are now leaving the world of discrete math and entering the most advanced layer of our stack. This is where statistics and continuous math combine to power modern artificial intelligence. Because honestly, machine learning is really just a highly sophisticated way of doing statistics. Let's look at how this translates to real-world AI by comparing two fundamental concepts. On the left, we have linear regression. This is all about finding a straight line that best fits a dataset to predict a continuous value, like predicting exactly how much money you might lose on a volatile stock. On the right, we have logistic regression. This solves an entirely different problem, classification. Instead of a straight line, it uses an S-shaped sigmoid function to predict a probability. This is exactly what an AI model uses to look at an image and classify it. Asking the important questions. Is this a hot dog, or is it not a hot dog?
To process all this massive AI data, we rely heavily on linear algebra. And the core of linear algebra is the matrix. A matrix is simply a two-dimensional array, a grid containing rows and columns of numeric values. When you're playing a 3D video game and your character moves, the lighting changes and shadows shift magically around the room, it's not magic. It's linear algebra. It is matrix transformations, scaling, translation, and rotation being distributed and calculated millions of times a second across your GPU. And this exact same math is what powers deep neural networks. These networks use vectors, which are basically one-dimensional arrays, to represent specific features of data. Then they use matrix multiplication to propagate those values between nodes in the network. So the really cool takeaway here is this. The underlying math of AI is surprisingly simple. It just requires a staggering amount of computing power to handle the matrix multiplication of billions of data points.
Section 4. The Algebraic Toolkit, Rules for Data Manipulation. To manipulate all this AI data cleanly, we need to bring things back down to earth and ground ourselves in the absolute essentials of algebra. When dealing with exponents, the rules of the game are strict. But let's focus on a deceptively simple one, the zero exponent. Anything raised to the zero power equals 1. But today we are breaking down this seemingly basic idea of the number 1 because it is absolutely essential in algebra and equations. You see, 1 isn't just a number, it's the multiplicative identity. This means if you multiply any number or variable by 1, you get the same number back. X times 1 is x. It's also key when you see expressions like x over 1, which just simplifies directly to x. In equations and expressions, 1 pops up everywhere. So why does 1 matter? Because it lets you manipulate equations without changing their value. When solving equations, you frequently divide by coefficients. For instance, if 2x equals 6, you divide by 2, which is effectively multiplying by 1 over 2 to find x equals 3. In AI and machine learning, algebraic simplification using 1 keeps computations clean and accurate, preventing hidden errors. If you're coding algorithms, designing neural networks, or debugging models, a deep grasp of these basics improves your efficiency. In programming, when normalizing data or coefficients, you often bring values to 1 as a baseline. Mastering the use of 1 in algebra helps streamline your equations and your code.
This kind of structured, rule-based thinking is exactly how we solve complex equations, like factoring a quadratic. You don't just guess, you follow an algorithm. Step 1, multiply the leading coefficient by the constant term. Step 2, logically find two numbers that multiply to that exact result, but also add up to your middle term. Step 3, split that middle term and factor by grouping. By breaking a daunting mathematical task into a clean, systematic workflow like this, we can write code that solves it instantly. And what happens when a variable is trapped high up in an exponent? We use inverse functions. Exponential functions and logarithmic functions with the exact same base are mathematical opposites. They literally undo each other. If you take the log of an exponential function, the bases cancel out, and your variable drops down to the main line where you can easily solve for it. It turns impossible-looking equations into entirely solvable logic puzzles. We've traveled from the deepest binary logic of a processor all the way to the matrix multiplications powering modern artificial intelligence. We've seen that the spells of the digital world aren't magic at all. They are just algorithms, logic, and algebra executing at blazing speeds. Now that you know the mathematical secrets hidden inside the machine, you possess the power to build incredible technology yourself. Thanks for watching The Employee Factory, where technical education gets simple and practical. So what magic will you build next?